Hey everybody, and welcome back. Today we're going to be making a knife out of some very minimalistic stuff with very minimalistic tools as well. And I'm going to show you how we do that. So first you want to make sure you have a piece of metal. It can be scrap or whatever, just as long as it's hardenable. And I've got this piece of lawnmower blade that I've cut, and I'm going to cut it into a shape that is relatively close to a knife, or the knife that I want. Then after you've taken the said piece of scrap and cut it, make sure you clean it. So I've taken a flap disc with an angle grinder, and I've cleaned off this and gotten it to clean metal and made sure everything was pretty close. There'll be more cleaning, so don't worry if it's not perfect. Depending on the type of steel that you use will alter this process, but if you already have a hardened steel, like some sort of blade of something or whatever, then you can skip this process. But just for the process of demonstration, I took this piece of steel and I'm going to re-harden it by taking this little bitty 110 volt welder and welding on the blade or the edge of the blade and then dipping it in oil in order to harden it. And I'm going to probably pass over it several times in order to get it to a sufficient heat, and that's how we're going to get a hardened blade. Alright, so now I've dipped the blade in oil after I'd welded it and gotten it to the right heat, and the edge of the blade should be hard and should be ready to go. So now I'm just going to take a grinder and clean this off and get it to the point where we're ready to put a handle on it. Also notice the welds themselves are not the most beautiful thing, but that's not what we're going for. We're going for heat. So we're just trying to heat up the edge of the blade in order to get it hot, because we're trying to avoid having to use a forge or something else that's more expensive. Alright, so I took the grinder and I went back to it and got the surface clean and shiny again. And I took a cutting disc and I cut these little notches into the bit of the tang and to give the glue something to hold on to better in the handle, because we're going to be doing this without pins to make this as easy as possible. Now you're going to need either a drill or a small drill press, which in this case that's what I use. And you need a bit that is about the same size as the tang, and you need to drill a hole into the block of wood so that the tang can fit snugly all the way down in there, and make sure it is the correct size in order to fit the handle up and start the shaping process. And for the shaping, I used a flat disc on the angle grinder so I could just take away little bits of layers and get the shape that I want. So that's how I created this handle. You don't have to do this step, but it is very, very appealing if you do. But if you have any oil or any sort of a stain to put on the handle, feel free to go ahead and do that. I just use the same oil that I quench all my blades in, which is just motor oil. And this oil soaks into the wood, gives it a great color, and also gives it a way to protect it and seal the wood a little bit better and prevent it from rotting or anything getting to it. Now you put it all together with some glue and the tang, and it's ready to go. It turned out to be a great knife, and it was really simple to do, and I definitely recommend it to anyone that's interested in trying to just attempt making something, because it is a great way to just let your creativity run wild. And you don't even have to make a blade that looks remotely similar to this. You just have fun with it.